President will take to the podium on the floor of the House of Representatives tomorrow night for his first State of the Union address. Will you be watching? Go to WUSA9.com/vote or the WUSA9 app right now and let us know. Will says, of course I am. Watching a president who actually wants America to succeed and prosper, one that does what he says he will do. I'll be watching every second. Pamela says, no, he brags on himself all the time already, and I feel it will be just the same. I can watch the highlights on the news later. Bill said, yes, I am going to watch. I'm not a fan of his, but he is the man in charge, and I respect the office. Like him or not, it is what it is. Opinions on our Facebook page are pretty split on this. So what's the president going to say to the nation and to the world tomorrow night? I talked to Washington Post national political reporter Michael Shearer. Michael, give me some pointers. What can we expect to hear from the president tomorrow night?
Well, the White House has been saying he's going to try and return to his broad, unifying, on-script message that we've seen a few times during his presidency, but it's not the Donald Trump that we're used to on a day-to-day basis. And I think he's going to touch on things like immigration, law and order, trade, and most importantly for him and the Republicans in the room, selling the idea that the tax reform bill that passed several weeks ago is really going to drive income gains for the middle class. They see that as a key to them being able to hold on to the House and the Senate later this year.
Okay, if you want to talk about immigration, how does he appease both the conservatives and DACA?
There's no answer right now that appeases both Democrats and Republicans on immigration. I think the thing to look for tomorrow is whether he opens the door to some negotiation. He put out a proposal last week. The White House put out a proposal that is unacceptable to Democrats, that basically would link giving a path to citizenship for the Dreamers to broader changes to the legal immigration system and enforcement. But that just may be a negotiating position. And so I would look to see whether he signals that he wants to keep this conversation going, or whether he's saying, this is my deal, take it or leave it. And there is quite a bit of suspense around that.
Okay, talk to me about his tweets to Jay-Z, if you will. Jay-Z seems to be saying to the president, you're saying some hurtful things and you need to change that. And the president's saying, well, look at what I'm doing with the economy. You ought to be grateful. What can we expect the president to say to the African-American community?
Well, you know, in his last joint address, he argued that he could do a lot for people who live in urban communities. I think he will argue that unemployment rates have gone down, that incomes are up slightly. I'm sure he will mention the African-American unemployment rate. It's something he's been talking about a lot. This is a trend that's, it's been declining for the better part of a decade pretty consistently, but it is true that it's at record low levels right now. I don't think you're going to see the sort of fisticuffs that you saw in that tweet with Jay-Z during the State of the Union, but it's also true that, this is going to be a different president on a different stage reading a different teleprompter.
Is he going to try to come across as the unifier, something that he hasn't been?
Yeah, I think he's going to try that. If you go back and read the speech he gave last year, he basically put himself forward as a bipartisan deal maker. That hasn't really played out over the course of this year, but it's certainly a message he likes returning to every now and again. This is a huge platform. You have between 30 and 50 million people tuning in during prime time to watch this event. And a lot of them are people who don't normally pay attention to politics on the day-to-day. They're people tuning in for the first time. So he really has a chance to make an impression. And I think the case he's going to make is that he is improving the lives of regular middle-class people, and that the country is becoming, as he says, great again. The issue he'll be dealing with is he'll be speaking directly to a chamber that is deeply divided and acrimonious at the moment.
I'm hoping he's speaking to the country and not just to his base tomorrow night.
Yeah, I think there's probably a bunch of people who are hoping for that.
All right, thanks a lot, man.